He has done pushed.
I've done the thing. Now let's see if I can do the thing over here.
All right.
All right, we have gone live.
All right.
I'm leaving the studio.
Why?
Because I got to come in as a guest on the other one.
Why?
Because it won't let me use my mic because something's fucked up.
Put your mouth closer to the mic.
Really?
I can hear you, dude. It sounds the same.
I haven't done it yet, bro.
I know.
What's up, Natural State? What's up, Eli? How do I leave the studio? I just want to leave.
Hold on.
You can't.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. It's Josh here from Dark Horse Tackle. We tonight have special guest Zach Fullard, also known as the co-owner of Dark Horse Tackle. He will be here momentarily when he gives me a thumbs up. Eli, your cookie for the real is here. Zach, when you're ready, give me a thumbs up. That's not a thumbs up. He's behind stage being disobedient.
Dude, you're it's not right yet.
All right, that was Zach from Dark Horse Tackle, everybody. Are we good on Instagram now?
Yes, we are live on Instagram.
Remember,
we are live.
Oh, see ya. Do you remember how my camera last week made me look like a ghost, and now this week I look like I'm having a stroke? I look like I have high blood pressure. Okay, so I'm going to remove... Oh, my goodness. We've got... Oh, right. And welcoming back to the stage, we have Zach number 2. And I can't even hear it. Wait, hold on. Now I can hear you if I add other Zach into the line.
Thank you. I see I need to remove myself from the... I don't know how to leave the studio. I think because I hit go live, I can't remove myself from the studio.
Oh, that is probably true.
Yeah, you see this blank spot? You get rid of that somehow.
This one right here?
The blank spot. Yeah, just remove that.
Okay. But now I can't hear you. Why are we having these problems now? We've been doing this for months. I can't hear you. And this one, this is so odd. Edit mic settings. I got nothing. We've got a couple viewers on Instagram. Up. He's switching sides. Let's see.
You can hear me?
Yes.
All right. We're just going to leave it like this. I have a question for you. Tell me if it changes. Can you still hear me?
It's on. I'm telling you, it's on.
The mic is on?
Yes.
The mic is on.
Yes, I told you this.
It tells me it doesn't work.
Welcome to therapy, everybody. Today, we're going to get Zach to believe something that he doesn't tell himself.
Wonderful.
They're not out to get you, man.
I'm going to show you this later where it says your mic isn't supported and it won't even let me click on it.
I see what you're saying. You're going based off what it's telling you. But did you hear me? Why does it look like I have like high blood pressure or something? What's going on? Like a week ago,
it probably looks like I have high blood pressure because I do.
Yeah. Why?
My face is always like this color though. There's nothing I can do about it.
But mine looks so dark. Like it's so dark. There's like no exposure.
No, you look very pale but red.
Right. It's weird.
I look like I'm sunburned.
So we got a cool guest tonight. We've got Corey from H&H Custom Baits.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
Personal favorite logo, a heart a heart with
I want to ask him how he came up with that.
What if his last name's Hart, man?
Hey, we can't even really start this show, Josh.
Oh,
we need an intro.
We do need an intro. I just, trying to figure out why I look like this right now.
So this really is for therapy.
There we go. I turned down some contrast.
We've got a lot of pregame tonight.
Yeah. That's good, Eli. Loud and clear. Okay, yeah. All right. Woo! I'm telling you right now, this platform that we're doing is severely messing with our Instagram reach.
Why is that?
I don't think it's the same.
Whatever.
Thing. All right. Let's why am I forgetting how to do this?
Today we learn.
Yeah, there we go. All right, everybody.
Here we go.
All right. Welcome to Dark Horse Tackle Live. Yeah, the tables have turned, Eli. How does it feel? Welcome to class. Glad you showed up on time. Unlike everybody else, you get my apple.
No, seriously, Eli. I'd like to give a shout out to a few of our staffers, Ryan Parker, Eli, and Adam Finley. You guys have been knocking it out of the park.
Yes.
We really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, it's nice to see people making the content, And I mean, dude, again, content's not hard. I've got a lot of videos in my phone that I just kind of post on the internet. It wasn't taken yesterday.
Actually, I think it's not as easy as you think it is.
I didn't say it was easy. I said it was simple. It's 1 to 2.
How about this? It's not simple for everybody.
That's because some people have complexes and they want everything to be perfect. Me, I'm like, I sound really good here and this makes a lot of sense. I'm going to post it.
I think Josh is looking for an apple or a cookie or a sledgehammer.
The cookie's coming. Listen, man, this weekend I pulled off on the side of the road and fished a creek because the golf course that I like to fish had too many golfers on it. So I fished this little 10-foot wide creek and caught a 3.5 pounder out of it. Which
that was nice. I saw
was
that.
insane. It was dirt, shallow water. I mean, seriously, 1 foot to 2 foot deep. I literally slipped and fell in it, and my feet didn't get wet. So to give you a for instance on how deep the water was, and I just, it was weird. It was weird. A lot of little fish, and then out of nowhere, I thought it was a carp. I thought I snagged a carp. I was like, oh, what's this? And then I saw the white flash.
You're talking about that little bridge we crossed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, every now and then I stop and fish it. And now I'm going to stop and fish it more because if that's what lives down there, why not?
Well, maybe that was the one.
Yeah, the Mark Zona Bridge. That's my Mark Zona Bridge.
Ooh, who said that? You did?
Tackle Talk.
Oh, where's he at?
Out of the 2 people watching on Instagram, which is literally just you and I. Holy moly.
Wow.
What is going on, man?
No, see.
Zuckerberg.
I have all kind of people joining on the live video on Instagram. I see tons of people.
I do not.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know any of them. They all appear to be from India.
Nostalgia from the knee deep days. Yeah. Dark times.
I don't know. Everything's just slow.
Yeah, everything's going slow. Either way, hey, we got to go fast though.
Hey, real quick, we're gonna get into a discussion here in just a few minutes with Corey Hart from H&H Custom Baits.
Wait, is his last name actually Hart?
I believe it is.
Then that's probably the logo, dude.
It probably is. I still want to ask.
Okay.
Anywho, but once we're done with that, we're gonna get into the right questions that you need to be asking yourself. When you go fishing in the wintertime, because if you ask the right questions, then it'll probably lead you to success.
Yes, this was a conversation that was stemmed off of my smart assery.
Well, it's a conversation that Josh and it's an argument that we have.
This is yes, it is, and usually it's like, why don't you just freaking listen, old man? This is the
H&H Koosh Craw.
We have two custom colors that I currently can't find. I'm not going to dig them up. But we did a blue crawl, which is very similar to a Susky. It's got more blue flake in it. It's a little darker. And then we have the, excuse me.
Copper craw.
Green, yeah, the copper craw. That is a green pumpkin with black and copper flake. Now, the pictures on the website do not do this justice. Honestly, the pictures on the website really don't do any of these baits justice. And that's something that we're trying to figure out, how to bring justice to the pictures.
The fluorescent light in your basement probably doesn't do it justice either.
Believe it or not, I actually took pictures at my kitchen table because I had better lighting this time. And I tried down here, the bitters, like the first time I did the bitters, they did that thing where it's like black for whatever reason. All the lights were out. LED light was on. And it was just like black.
No, I think you have some kind of cloud that
yeah, probably there's definitely something in the basement that's making me sick and messing up camera pictures.
But anyways, before we go any further, I do want to ask. I do want to let you guys know we do have our bi-weekly $25 question.
Yeah.
And whoever we pick, whoever's answer that we choose, unless you're somebody that gets it right.
And you probably won't.
But there's a thumbnail that goes along with this video on YouTube. And if you go look at the thumbnail, I've got a little voice bubble. And it's Josh. It says that Josh is saying it's freezing. What are you throwing? That is not what Josh was saying. If anybody can guess in the comments, whether on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, if anybody can guess what Josh was actually saying, or because we don't think anybody's going to actually get it, or if you can make us laugh with what you think Josh was saying,
bingo.
We're gonna hand out a $25 gift card to Dark Horse Tackle, which could come in a lot of handy, considering we've got some big things coming up.
Yeah, if you can see the banner below, right here. I assume the folks that are in here right now are probably already subscribed, but if you're not subscribed, Aggressively Average Christmas box is shipping in 2 weeks. And
on the 9th. It will ship on the 9th.
And that is a very big collaboration. Spoiler alert, there are 7 items in this box. The box is worth over $50.
Yep.
The box can be purchased as a single purchase for $34.99, and you can subscribe for $31.99.
That's correct.
So you got value. You get baits picked by Jeff and Paul from the Aggressively Average Anglers.
And they did a fantastic job.
And they did a great job because, listen, we let them do it. If they were doing a bad job, we'd have had to say, pump the brakes. We're going to drive this truck home. But we've got Corey from H&H in the building with us right now. He is literally sitting on my couch behind me. Let's get him in. Zach is still muted. There he is. So we'll get
Nobody
Corey.
wanted to hear that. At least I didn't turn the camera off.
All right. We're getting Corey in here. Corey,
What's up,
how
Corey?
you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey,
We've
first
got
of all,
some-
man, I gotta say, we've gotten 3 baits from you over the past 2 years now? 4?
You should have been.
Yeah, 4 baits. 4
Guppy,
baits.
Goose, actually 5.
Well, oh yeah, actually, yeah, because we got the OG Koosh jig, then we got the V2, we
Right.
got the Koosh craw,
Yep.
we got your bladed jig,
Mm-hmm.
and we got the guppy.
I got a catch for you. On Sunday. 48 degrees.
I have to tell you, man, these are some of my most favorite baits we have ever put in a box. I do not go to a river, a creek, and since we've got the mini bladed jig, a pond, without them.
Yeah, those are. I'm glad you guys have been able to put them to some use and get them out to a lot of your subscribers because we've had success all over the country with those, especially now that we're kind of focusing on some of that smaller stuff and places are getting beat more and more now with the fishing pressure. It just keeps getting better for my segment for sure because fishing doesn't seem to get any easier anywhere else. So
That's an interesting. It's interesting that you bring that up because over the past 5 years, fishing has exploded, and it's very rare for a guy to get into the fishing industry with his own design that is something that nobody has ever seen before. Like a guy like of your caliber, a guy in his garage, a very small guy. Like a lot of times you see these front companies, certain finesse bait companies and other companies that are like, hey, we're a small guy. And it's like, just kidding. We're funded by Rapala. And like, instead of being like, I'm going to hand pour some Cincos in my garage, you were like, I'm going to make like 5 very unique baits to acclimate to this pressure. But also you're getting it at a great time where you've got the influencer stuff going on. You've got, fishing is now on like such a huge stage with multitudes of different tournaments on TV, the accessibility to fishing tournaments, the accessibility to watching people fish, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it may be. And you're doing your own thing, which
not only is he doing his own thing, but I have to tell you, probably some of the most detailed products I've ever seen. And we should let Corey tell us where did it start? Where did it come from?
I mean, I started out like I would say a lot of people do in the garage. I'm not in the garage anymore, which is nice. I'm in if you can see behind me, I'm in more of a professional space now that I had built specifically to do this. But I started out probably in 2018, I think. Funny story getting into it. I started with plastics. The jigs and stuff came later, but actually my in-laws got me this one thing for Christmas one year. I don't know if you guys are familiar or not. They're called man crates. They're like a subscription type box thing. And one year they got me one of those, and it had some stuff about making fishing lures, and I never knew anything about it. And so it was like really rudimentary, low end stuff, but like just the idea of making something and then being able to go and catch fish on it, that was intriguing to me. I always like being able to create different stuff. So, whether it's doing different building projects around the house or, whatever the case may be there, I liked being able to build stuff on my own. So that kind of got me into it a little bit, and I played around and messed up the microwave a little bit in my parents' house at the time. I was at home, and it was actually in college. So that's when I first started, was there, and smoked out the house, and what you expect from somebody that has no idea what they're doing. But I started there and just kind of grew a little bit in my enjoyment of it. I would be able to take baits out and test things, and I really started after doing that, I thought, what's something I use a lot, and that was a Senko at the time, and they were so expensive. Everybody kind of gets that idea of, hey, maybe I can make some of these, maybe they'll last a little bit longer for me, maybe they'll be just as good, and I won't have to pay $8-9 a bag for them. That was kind of where I got started in that for myself, was just making some of that stuff. And I had access to a private lake at the time that I would be able to fish, and I fished Senkos a lot. So that's where I got started, with making those. And I got a formula down for those that was pretty much identical to the biggest name brand for that. And, I started doing that, making some custom colors and stuff. So I wasn't really overly serious about doing it as a business. It was more just something I did for fun while I was in school. But then, as things progressed, my background is in financial services. That's where I got started out of school, was in working in finance. So I did that for a while, and I did this on the side. And then as I grew and doing some of this on the side, I got into looking at some more custom work, because if I decided I wanted to actually do a little bit of it as a business, I didn't want to just do the typical stuff like you were saying. That's what people do. That's the common thing. And everybody starts out with their knockoff moles and things like that.
Sure.
I did Senkos and stuff for a while. And I eventually took them off my website once I built one. I have another background in web design, so that's where the site and everything came from. Was my web design that I do. So I built the site out, and I put some of my baits and stuff on there, and just started a fishing Instagram, which at the time was just Hook Set Heart. That's where HH comes from. I know a lot of people always say H and H. It's HH Custom Baits, because it's Hook Set Heart Custom Baits. That's where that comes from. My last name is Hart, so H works too. I don't really care.
You are definitely affectionately known as H and H almost every time I utter your name.
Yes.
I just shortened it to HH because Hook Set Heart, people wouldn't really understand, and that was fine. So I just shortened it to that. And H is fine. I don't really care. It was. I know when I looked it up, I actually was going to do H&H, but there was another company that's been around for a while that has that already. So that's why I didn't go that route.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I started there and got into some of the basic stuff. And then I decided if I was going to do it as a business, that I really wanted to look into trying to make things that were unique to what I wanted to do. And as I started doing a little bit more river fishing and things, I started coming up with, ideas for some smaller baits that would work well for smallmouth. And then also fishing a lot of like clear water electric only reservoirs that we have in Pennsylvania here, at least my end, southeastern Pennsylvania. Those little small jigs, I decided I wanted to do one of those, and that's where I've been rolling with since then.
Nice. Any relation to Bret Hart?
No, funny story. My nickname in high school was Hitman.
Yeah,
Nice.
It was actually a teacher that gave me that.
No, we actually just I was out with Josh fishing some ponds, and absolutely waylaid them on the green pumpkin purple flash bladed jig and guppy. Just waylaid them, and it, a lot of times you go out there and you will catch a ton, but they're usually cookie cutters. I was actually catching one or two that were a little bit better on it too. So little baits doesn't mean little fish.
No, it's dude. So here's the way I view the Koosh bladed jig now is 9 times out of 10 when I'm reeling this thing in, unless I'm like really covering water, like fast, I'm not looking for a heavy vibration. I'm looking for a subtle vibration, because all this is at this point is a swim jig that's making a really weird noise. Mm-hmm. I've got a 3-inch swim. I've got a 3-inch guppy on it. I've got the body of the jig, and then it's just kind of doing this in the water. Like the way I was catching them the other day, I was letting it hit the bottom, and I was trying to tick the bottom. And dude, let's just face the facts here. It's a 3/16 ounce bait with a lot of plastic on it. Naturally, it's going to rise. So it's not very easy to keep it consistently on the bottom with any kind of retrieve. Like I'm doing more of a dragging and just bop. And then I just started kind of reeling it in slow, and I was barely feeling it vibrate. But like once I started barely feeling it vibrate, that's when I started catching fish on it. Like I've never fished it that way before. And I just like told myself, I'm like, dude, this is basically just a really slow swim jig with a little extra action to it.
What weight do you make those up to?
Quarter is the heaviest that I
Quarter.
have.
I thought so because I got some. I forget what the name of the color is. It's like pink, gray, and white. I believe.
Yeah. Molly Slayer.
Yeah. I've got some of those that I ordered outside of Dark Horse Tackle for myself, and I'm pretty sure those were quarter. But yeah, so a lot of times when you get bladed jigs from small businesses, they tend not to start right away.
I know. That was
I don't know what you have done, but yours starts immediately.
The funny thing was when I first decided to go that route, putting a blade on one, I was just looking at the original, and I have one here with a new bait that's going to be coming out here soon.
Ooh.
Don't show that too much, but
Little bladed jig trailer.
Nice.
that's going to be cool. I put some of that on my story, but the main thing, like you guys were saying about reeling it slow, is the trailer is a lot of it for sure. Because if you throw a straight tail on it, it'll get on the bottom. Depending on if you're fishing, current, you're fishing a lake or something like that. The quarter with a straight tail will stay on the bottom pretty good. But I wanted to look at putting a blade on one because if you think about it, a lot of people will throw a swim bait on a ball head. I mean, that's like a real common thing to do, whether they wanted to work it on the bottom, like you were saying, or just reeling it in. So I decided to put a blade on it and just see what would happen, basically. And these blades, because everybody knows that the Z-Man thing is a patent and all that, you can't have that hexagon-shaped blade. That's pretty well known now. I didn't know that to begin with because it's a trademark and not really a patent on the blade. It's a whole can of worms on that. But I had these blades custom made. So if you ever see anybody else using this exact blade, it's mine.
Okay.
The company that I worked with, all the companies that make them are overseas companies. And I've had some that have sold them to other people, but that's a fun story. But outside of that, that small blade like that, I wanted to match that exact size because it works so well with that ball head shape for whatever reason, like you were saying. And I know there's a lot of information out there and videos and things saying if it has a split ring on it, it doesn't start upright. Or, even if it has two split rings like mine does, it doesn't start upright. Or
two split rings is better.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed this one, no matter how I threw it or how fast I reeled it, whatever happened, it always started up. And I've never had any issues with that. And the two split rings, I've even tested some with just one split ring with a different hook eye that went like flat instead of vertical.
Yep.
And those actually rose more than this one did. So there's just something special about that head shape with this combination of the split rings and the blade that I always try to tell people, just don't listen to some things that you may hear online or whatever else about it and just get one in your hands and throw it. Because whenever that happens, and another reason why I wanted to get into your box is they get bites, they catch fish.
They absolutely do.
Anywhere you throw them. So
yep.
I
I've
you guys to throw one of those in your box too, besides just the regular ones, because no matter what your skill level is or where you're fishing, I can almost always get somebody to get a bite on these.
Yep.
So, like for guides on the river around me, I get one of these in their hands and they come back and they want a bunch of them because no matter who they have in their boat, as long as they can cast and reel, they'll be catching fish. So
what's your you don't need to get specific as spots or anything like that, but what's your favorite river to fish down that way?
Oh, the Susquehanna, that's where I fish.
Gotcha.
Yep. The Susquehanna is arguably one of the best river smallmouth places.
I actually might be spending a couple months on the 3 Mile Island startup next year.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you'll be.
I might be out that way.
Yeah, that's really the area that I fish is Harrisburg and north.
Gotcha.
Common area, and that's jet boat and kayak water up there. Down where you're talking around 3 Mile Island, that Goldsboro area, that's more of like a lake down there, but it's still current. But a lot of that farther south is a little bit slower and it's not as shallow as above the bridge there at 83 and above Harrisburg. That's where I fished mostly.
Nice.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm blanking, Zach.
You are blanking.
I'm listening, man.
I was waiting for you to come in.
Oh yeah, Corey. I know so much about Pennsylvania. As a guy that lives in Ohio and goes there once a month and only fishes the Beaver River. Very well versed in Pennsylvania. There you go. See, let the bait do.
Oh, I like it, buddy. I absolutely like it.
This thing's a straight tail, but the unique part about it is it has a tail I've never seen before that I came up with is 4 separate fan sections on it.
Oh, nice.
So they separate in the water. When you see it up close out of the water, they'll kind of stick together because of the plastic out of the water. But in the water, I wanted to have another straight tail type bait that had less rise to it. Because it'll actually stay down, whereas the guppy will give it a little bit of lift because of that paddle tail. But this one also has a tighter action. And like you were saying about fishing it slow, it sounds like you were fishing in pretty cold water too, which I think is probably the deal for that. Because if you're in warm water, especially in the summertime, like when I fish these on the river, you can just burn them, just chuck them on.
I was throwing it as a freaking wake bait. Like I was like, honestly. It was to the point where it was like 50-50 getting the blade to run, but also getting the swim bait up in the water. Like it didn't matter. Like they were just eating it because it was moving so quick through current in and out of patches of weeds. We were fishing the Allegheny when we first tested it out. And actually the first time we tested it out was like last March or April.
Yeah.
And we were fishing the Allegheny on the bank, but we took our boats out to the Allegheny. And then it really took off with that bait, like just making bomb casts across, casting up into the current and letting it kind of just slowly reeling it back and letting it bump and hit everything, but also keeping it up in the top of the water column. Like just a bunch of different ways to get bit on that bait.
Yeah, honestly, you can do no wrong pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. Go ahead.
You can throw it. You can work it on the bottom. I don't really do that as much. Just because I catch so many just reeling it straight back. But in the summer on the Susquehanna, I keep it tied on all summer. I catch 30, 40, 50 a day.
Yeah.
What do you throw it on? What's your combo that you throw it on?
I throw it on either a light cranking rod, so 7-foot medium, moderate cranking rod, or I throw it on a BFS rod. So sort of light. You can throw it on a light fast action or a light moderate fast action. I like to throw it on usually 8-pound line is what I throw it on.
Ooh, really?
I throw it, and that could be another thing too. I'm not sure what size line you guys are throwing on. If you're throwing
20-pound braid.
Were you throwing straight braid?
Straight braid.
Okay, so that shouldn't have been too much different. Fluorocarbon will get it down a little bit. I usually throw 10-pound braid to an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader.
I think on my setup I'm using 20-pound braid, but it's a different kind of braid. I think it's called Siglon, and it's like sewing thread.
Yeah,
it's crazy, but it's 20-pound braid to 10-pound Sunline Sniper.
Yep, that'll work too. You can always don't be afraid to go down a little bit too if you want to get it down a little bit farther. 8 I just found is I fish a lot of clear water too, so I like to have that just a little bit lighter line. Seems to work well. The hook is the same hook as the other jigs, but I wanted something that would work well on BFS, but also wouldn't be a light wire, so it's a 1-ax.
Right.
And it's like a good medium in between the two. So
while we got you on here, tell everybody about the rest of your stuff, because I mean we've only featured 5 of your baits, but you have more than that.
I have more than that. I'll be honest with you. The 5 though that you guys featured are really the bulk of what I do for the most part. Because as a small company, I have about 4 people with me that work to do what we do. Between the guppies, the craws, and the jigs, and then we have the buzz baits and spinner baits and stuff. That's primarily what we do. But I also have, I can grab a couple here to show you if you want to see them too. But I have the 5.85-inch, the robo worm style worm, the drop and hop worm, which is a great drop shot, small shaky head worm. The 3 3/4-inch slinky worm, which is like a ringworm style.
I love the slinky worm.
Yeah, that one's awesome too. That's a good wacky worm if you want to throw something small. Because I have a little bit of salt in that, so you can do a lot of different things. Whether you want to, drop shot or you want to throw it weightless, you can do that. One of my favorite things in creeks to do is to take one of those slinkies or one of the drop and hops and take like a 1/0, either extra wide gap or a straight shank. I use the Gamakatsu rebar one, the robo worm hook. I use that a lot. Just no weight, throw it in a creek or something. I fish a small river near some of my parents' property that is a small, narrow river that has some nice smallmouth in it. And I just throw that thing weightless all the time, and it'll just shimmy down, and you can catch a ton of fish doing that too. So I have some of those on the site too, but a lot of what we do, especially I would say most of the year, is the jigs and some of the trailers for them. So that's what keeps us the most busy. We're still on a wait time right now for new orders, but we come out.
Yeah, that's I highly suggest if you can't, if you should definitely check out HH. It's so hard to say it that way.
It's okay. All right, everybody says H&H, so it's fine.
I'm gonna have to relearn everything I know.
I'm like trying to like teach my mouth how to say it.
Yeah.
No, but I highly suggest everybody go check out your site and what you have to offer.
Seriously.
Because they have almost instantaneously become some of my most favorite baits to throw. I have a box for my BFS rod. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I have a box set up just for my BFS rod that I have the baits that I throw on it. And half of it is HH Customs.
Same. I've got a river box that is 90% Jig Masters and HH. It's all ball head jigs, regular, Koosh jigs, and packs of guppies. And like we were in the Beaver River, and it was cold, and I figured that they would be on bottom, so I put the guppy on a 1/4 ounce ball head jig and just kind of like made a cast and did one of these, while I'm reeling, like just actually dragging it through stuff while keeping the line moving, not jigging it, but just like bang, 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 and then like kind of a fast drag, just bang, bang, bang. But stayed at the bottom, stayed ticking rocks. It wasn't that productive of a day, but the presentation worked. That's really all I cared about, was catching one on the guppy.
Yeah, and that guppy is very versatile.
Yes.
I was up on the St. Lawrence, and I was fishing your guppy on a 1/2 ounce drop shot weight on a drop shot rig, like 40 feet down, and was wrecking them.
Yeah, drop shot. Don't sleep on that. You can either reel it along the bottom or just work it that way.
That's what I told him. He went out and pre-fished and was telling me all he was doing, and I was like, I'm like, one of my favorite things to do up in those, like, just up in that area, that United States Canadian border, is throw a swim bait on a drop shot, because you have the option, right? Like, I can't take the slinky worm, make a bomb cast with it, let it hit bottom, and just reel it back, and it's naturally going to have action. Like, you're going to have to add action to that bait.
I mean, you could let it hit bottom, but it would take you like 3 hours.
Yeah,
Sure.
You have to find a happy medium between having salt in a bait and have it get destroyed immediately. So there's a balance there. I didn't want to make it into like a 3 3/4 Senko rib Senko, because then it's gonna get destroyed in every other application. But another thing that we have that is popular that you guys haven't seen yet, especially up north where you're fishing in that deeper water, is our 3/8 version of the Koosh Ball Micro. It's the power version, the PWR. That's it's still a 1/0 hook, but it's a heavier hook. It's a 2X. So I know there's a lot of guys, and that would be probably the most popular for like the tournament crowd. because they like to have that heavier gear. You can throw on 15-pound line, 18-pound line, whatever you want. But that one I have the regular power with the single wire guard, and then also the XT, which has that. It's a really stout wheat guard you can throw in like the middle of brush piles or whatever. And those are really popular up north too for dragging like you would those jigs out there in that deeper water, that 3/8 ounce size. That's something that I don't think you guys have seen that yet, but
I've seen it on your site.
We've definitely seen it on your site.
It's something that interests me every time I see it, just because I forget the company's name, but they used to make a small football jig with a 1/0 hook, and they only made a 1/2 ounce, and it was all rubber with just like a little bit of green pumpkin in it. I would cut the crap out of it, very similar to a Koosh jig, and I would throw the tiny pack of chunks on it.
Yep.
And where everybody's throwing a 1/2 ounce to a 3/4 ounce jig with a 5/0 hook and a 4-inch trailer on it, I'm going behind them catching fish, throwing a jig this big, with just a little bit of green pumpkin in it and a little bit of chartreuse, and just, making that presentation smaller. I always tell people especially up north, like I live in Ohio, it's very pressured where I live, always downsize. Throughout the year. Now there's times in the summer you can get away with really upsizing, like let's just say they're on some kind of a fluke bite, throw a 6-inch fluke, throw a 7-inch fluke. The small ones will still eat that, or throw a massive jig compared to a tiny jig. But I prefer to always downsize, because downsizing will get you more bites in general. So when you're playing the numbers game in a tournament, I only need 5-inch 12 fish or 5 12-inch fish. Yep. So if I get 5 12-inch fish, I'll probably keep that small jig on, but that allows me to grab another rod and be like, okay, I'm going to try to get a bigger, more quality bite now that I've got 5 fish in the boat, where some guys are just staying all day throwing that jig that every single bass has seen, and they're not catching as many fish. They're not getting as many bites. It's the PWR XT is very, very interesting to me, especially with the allotment of Koosh trailers that I have. I'm really interested in trying to get a couple of those here next year and just flipping bushes with them.
Yeah, when I designed the crawl to fit a 1/0 hook, specifically that hook, which it's the same as the VMC hook. It's just the gauge of the wire is different, but the hook is the same. But that crawl trailer fits that hook perfectly, because a lot of these smaller jigs, they still have, the smallest is usually a 2/0, and there's different schools of thought behind it. But in my experience, smaller hooks seem to get more bites for me.
Yes.
Whatever the case may be, if you're fishing a smaller package like that, if it doesn't have some big gaff hook sticking out of it, in my experience, especially clear water, I've gotten more bites and more pressured big bites out of that. So when I was looking around doing this, again, I didn't want to bring something that everybody, and I was like, nobody really does a 1/0 heavy wire hook like this in one of these heavier jigs. So I went that route with the custom trailer design, so it all fit together in a small package, and it doesn't look like a fish coming down. Because if you ever use a small trailer with like a 5/0 hook or something, it looks a little odd to me personally.
It's
absolutely.
I fished this past summer, or actually this past fall. I will be next summer as well, up at Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia. Here, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that lake or not, but it's a clear water, heavily pressured, lots of tournaments, like every weekend type place. And I went up there with the family for a few days and never threw my stuff out there before at all. And I was just thinking, just the way it's set up, I was like, I got to catch them out here on this. And just a little bit of fishing time, and we had several 4-pounders. We're catching fish behind guys, tournaments going on. So I knew for sure, like, that would be the deal.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, we would definitely we're definitely want to get those the power version of your Koosh jig out to our customers, and hopefully we can do that next year.
Yeah.
But Corey, it's been a blast. We appreciate you coming on. Always a pleasure having you in the box, and you're one of the first things that sell
Yes.
So
Yes.
you're doing a fantastic job. I can't say it enough.
Thank you. Yeah, we're bringing on
You're
help. We'll try to make it as easy as possible to make things accessible for you guys. I know it can be hard sometimes depending on with having a wait time and trying to get products out to everybody else and then trying to get a bunch of stuff together for a box. But I'm still bringing on help as much as I can, and we'll try to get as much out to you as we can in the next year. So I appreciate it.
I just want to tell you one more time, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the amount of detail that goes into your baits. Down to the fact where when you get a goose jig, there's always 2 little strands that are longer than the rest.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I love that. I love that. It makes me feel like you did it special for me.
Well, I think that's another thing. When it's such a saturated market, you can not cut weed guards. You can leave stuff long. You can throw it in a box and get it out there. And that's why things take so much time to build. Is if it doesn't come out right, we just won't put it out. And it's just that's what it has to be in order to get something that I would throw every single time. And most everything touches my hands one way or another. So I want to make sure that everything comes out the way that I would want to fish it. So,
well, you've got the name Custom in the name of your company, and it truly shows.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why have SKUs and product options. That's why there has to be a weight, because there's just so many different custom options. You got to stay custom.
All right. Thank you, Corey. And we'll look
Corey.
forward to working with you again soon, man.
Yep.
Sounds good.
See you, bud. See ya. All right.
Yeah.
That was Corey Hart. Hookset Hart from
Corey Hookset Hart. Oh, I'm not going to forget that.
And Nick, you are incorrect.
No, you are not correct. We've had little bits of silence. I don't know what happened during that interview. All of a sudden, both of us were like,
brain turned off, man. That's what happens. But that's what happens when you have a good guest and the good guest talks.
Yes,
you're kind of like,
I'm listening.
Yeah, man, keep it
up.
up.
Because I'm listening. Like I'm listening. Like hopefully you guys are.
Right. The name of that jig is just the Bass Patrol jig. That's the company. That's all
the one you were talking about.
Yep.
Hey, I just want to put this out there. If you look on YouTube, this live has a thumbnail.
Yes.
Josh and I are looking for what Josh was actually saying in that thumbnail.
Yes.
My word bubble says something that I just threw in there for the podcast or the live. But Josh was actually saying something. So either you can put something in there that makes us laugh, or you can actually guess what he was saying. And if you can do that, then there's a $25 gift card coming your way. So yeah.
Sorry, Nick, it just didn't work this time.
Eli, you put the A-rig in a tree. It's not going to catch fish up there, bub.
It's not going to catch fish up there. But
I mean, if you yo-yo it off the tree, sometimes you can get a fish like that. But that seems like the long way to go around.
I am learning that Bass Patrol Jigs is out of California, but it seems that they do not have their own website. Bummer.
So, Josh.
Yes.
Let's talk with the 12 minutes we have left. What are the right questions to be asking yourself for wintertime bass fishing?
I mean, mainly what I ask myself is this the right time to be out here? It's not necessarily about the bait. It's really not about the bait. It's about the time that you're out there. It is about the bite window. And the
bait would be a question later on down the line, but that's not the first question.
Yes, the bait is you can't figure out if your bait is working or not if you're not there at the right time. If I go out at midnight on November 26th, it doesn't matter what I'm throwing. It's never going to matter. Those fish are dormant. Those fish are tired. Yeah, Eli's got a good one. But
He does.
the bite window is important. So on a sunny day, I look at a lot of things. I look at pressure, I look at humidity, and obviously I look up. You look at what the sky's doing. Today, it was a high of like 50 degrees maybe, and it was bluebird skies for a majority of the day.
That's what we had here.
A day like today, I am going fishing no earlier than 1:30 in the afternoon. No earlier. Like that fish that I caught on Sunday came at 2:30 in the afternoon, and it was probably 52 degrees, bluebird skies.
Because well, the sun is your friend at that point because it's actually drawing the bass.
It has warmed up the bank, which has warmed up the water, and it is drawing the fish out of the depths because it's drawing the bait fish out of the depths. It's not school. It's not, bass don't have a job. Bass don't have to go to work. We have to be up. I have to be up at 5 a.m. to go to work. I don't want to be. If it were up to me, I would wake up when the sun comes up because it's warm out and it's bright out and it puts me in a better mood. But bass don't think like that. Bass see food going to the bank because the sun is shining down on the bank, warming up the bank. The bait fish go up there because they notice that the water temperature, 1 degree matters, okay? 1 degree matters. When the water is 58 degrees within the first 6 feet, but it's 57 past 6 feet, those fish are going to be in the 1 to 6 foot range.
I was actually listening to something very interesting today. I was listening to some things that have been learned since the proliferation of live scope. And one of the things that they have learned is that especially in late fall, when the water is starting to cool rapidly, even out in the middle of nowhere, not on the bank, bass will come up to like 6 inches under the surface and they are literally sunning themselves.
Yes.
It has to do with a few things. It has to do with them sunning themselves to get a little warmth. It also has to do with if the lake is experiencing turnover, the best place for them to be is at the top where there's the most oxygen.
Yep.
So
here's my conditions from Sunday. When I got to the ponds, actually everywhere I fished was crystal clear water. It was all crystal clear water, which gives me, once you figure out those conditions, right? Okay, I'm here at the right time. I'm at the bite window that I know based on years and years of just abuse to my own body and going out and staying out here all day. I have deductively processed that being here after 1 p.m. up until like 4:30, 5 o'clock is my best chance to catch one fish. I see that the water is clear. It's not that this is a bad thing, but it's definitely not a good thing. I want a little murk on that water because here's the thing. If the water is clear, the bass will see you for whatever reason in the cold winter, in the cold weather, they will see you from 40 yards away. Even if you're on flat ground, they will see you, they will feel you, whatever it is. Like there's a specific pond Zach and I fish that has an inlet that goes like this, real skinny. They will see you when you walk up on the pond and they will go away.
Yep.
And it's probably 80 feet away. But what that tells me is I need to make long casts regardless of the accuracy. Honestly, what I start doing is I start immediately on the bank, the first 5 feet of the bank. I'm not making diagonal casts yet. I'm not really, I'm just parallel in the bank, making a bunch of casts parallel. Then I start to do, the water, the grass waterer. What do they call those? The sprinkler. I start doing a sprinkler motion. I just change my angle, change my angle. Now, another thing you want to look for. This is the biggest thing. The biggest thing in any kind of predatory fish. It's not necessarily always open water. Why are they by that open water? There's a specific spot at a lake that I fish, and you can actually see it on Ryan Parker's reel. If you go look at Ryan Parker's most recent reel. There is a ledge. There are 2 ledges he is fishing in that video. One of them is a slope that immediately drops. There's about 20 feet of that slope, and it goes from like 2 feet to 8 feet, then immediately down to like 32. Then there's a ledge that stair steps down. He was catching fish on that Alabama rig, I guarantee you, in probably 8 feet. I know he wasn't on the bottom because he would not have that A rig. There are trees at that thing. So
it's ambush points.
Exactly. Why are those fish there? So what I like to fish when I'm fishing ponds in the winter is I like to go to where the water skinnies up, because what I know one thing, that water in that cove is going to go like this. And those fish are going to be right here. So I am saving time by making high percentage casts across bank to bank, bringing that bait through.
I like it. I like it, Scott.
I like it. Through both contour points. And when you have the ability to go through two types of contour, you're doubling your chances to catch a fish. That's where all my bites came from. There's a video I've got. I will post it after the creek fish video, but you watch me miss a fish on an A-rig, and I got a hook in him. I didn't get a hook in him, but he had the bait in his mouth. You can see the rod flex. Immediately, the second that I set the hook on that, I reel it in as fast as I can. I throw it down, make the same cast with the H&H, with the HH bladed jig.
It doesn't work.
Make the same cast with the HH bladed jig and catch that fish. Literally the cast after that. And the reason it was actually crazy. It was that big pond that we always fish that I always tell you there's giants in.
Yes. I believe you now. I've seen fish come out of it finally.
Right. Finally. It took a year. But there's scattered rocks. So another thing I look for, right, is I look for, if I'm fishing ponds, ponds are a great place to get that winter fix. If I'm fishing ponds, I'm looking for ponds with any kind of like structure that they can focus on. I'm not talking a brush pile that's this much in the water, where they would be like, there'd be a couple fish on that in the summer or something. I'm talking like when I throw a swim bait out there with a ball head jig and I'm ticking rocks, that's what I'm looking for. Because if they've got nothing but mud for the next 40 yards, but then there's like a stretch 10 to 20 feet where it's just scattered rocks, they're going to be on that.
That's the substrate switch. Yep. So when you go from mud to rock or chunk rock to pebbles or something to something, for some reason
transition point.
Yes, for some reason bass love oddities.
Yes,
they always have, they always will.
Dude.
The other thing I wanted to say is it's a kind of a joke between Josh and I. We make this noise. We go about the air.
That's the humidity.
Especially in the winter. And yes, it is humidity.
When you can taste the air and the air feels wet, go fishing. Fishing, go fishing, go fishing. I don't care if it's 32 degrees. I do not care. Like, I'm talking
as long as your
winter.
Water is soft.
I'm talking in the winter. When you get a 50-degree day in the winter and like the lake kind of starts up, the ponds kind of, like there's like a bit of a fog, but you don't know if that's just the air so heavy, go fishing. For real, go fishing. Like, throw a spinner bait, throw a little swim bait on a ball head jig,
throw an A-rig
jig, throw an A-rig, throw a bladed jig, throw something that moves. Do not be afraid to cover water when it cools down. Do not sit there and shake a jig around unless, like, dude, I'm not going to make blind casts with a jig, probably ever. I don't make blind casts with a jig. I hate fishing that way. I will never fish that way.
Josh, you know what? We completely forgot.
What's that?
We do have a bait drop.
We do have a bait drop.
We do have a bait drop.
Hey, by the way, this jig right here in my hand is available on the store right now. This is the brand new Martin's Nomadic Finesse XT paired up with that custom. Come on.
Yes, it's gorgeous. That's the Koosh Craw from HH.
Green pumpkin on the back, black up front. I put some orange on it because that's how I roll. But yeah, we did have a bait drop.
We've got that
email.
The A-rig. If any of you that watch us have not seen the A rig, I don't know what you've been doing, but stop and take a look, because I'm pretty sure that every single one, myself, Josh actually caught a monster on that thing that we did not get on video, unfortunately. But myself, Josh, I'm pretty sure all of our pro staff,
except for Eli,
well, it's in a tree. But people have been smashing them on the Bass Dope Lures A rig. Bobby caught a freaking tank. Bobby from Jigs and Bigs caught a tank on it. Yeah, so that thing has been doing some work.
yes.
Eli, just so you know, come Thursday, it's like 2 days away, a day and a half away. Our Black Friday sale starts, and you can get buy one, get one 25% off unlimited. So you could get you a whole bunch of A rigs and everything else. You get the Bass Dope Smack swim heads, which, by the way, those things don't necessarily have to be thrown on an A rig.
Yep.
You could tie those things. You could tie those right onto right onto your line and put a swim bait on there.
Perfected ball head jig on the bitters. Now listen, paddle. There's a difference. Okay. There's a difference. A paddle tail. A paddle tail with a slim design, such as your Bitters Little Swimmer, is perfect for a ball head jig.
That Bitters tail also doesn't do this. It's got an angle to it. The tail,
the tighter wobble, and the bait shimmies. So, also the boot tails are a lot better on a sled head, because your boot tail design, 9 times out of 10, the boot tail started as a bait that went on a wedge style hook. It's got a flat nose, and then it tapers into that boot tail. You're looking at 2 squares. So the best way to take those 2 squares is to at least make one triangular to give it some kind of hydrodynamics. And I'm serious. A ball head jig on the Big Joshy is just it works. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's just. Jig Masters was on to something with Big Joshy when he came out with that. Okay, that's all I'm saying. It is highly, highly, highly deflectable. But when you throw that ball head jig on any sleeker style like paddle tail, it's borderline weedless, dude. Like, it's borderline snagless, I should say. Throw it into wood, you reap what you sow, bud. Throw it into rocks, you're fine.
A ball head jig comes through rock, especially like creek rock, amazingly. And Josh, I was gonna get into my little tackle organization tip, but I think we're just gonna leave that for next time.
Hey, listen, here's a tip for you. If you've got specific combos, if you're not a guy like me who's a freak and just throws square bills on like 7.3 heavies, like, I will throw whatever I want on whatever I want, because that's how I buy my gear. I buy my gear to be universal. Zach is a tradesman. Zach has a tool for a specific job. Me, I'm a nut job. I like a rod. I'm like, oh, this is good. This has a good backbone. Let me get 6 of them.
I said we're going to get into it next time.
Highly consider, if you will, a box or a bag for each technique specific.
Are you not listening? Next time, buddy. Next time.
But hey, listen, the aggressively average Christmas box is available for pre-order still.
We are running out.
Yes, we are.
We are running out between the folks that we love so much that have already been subbed, and some of you that have subbed recently, and a lot of you which have just said, you know what, I just want that box, and have bought a single purchase box, willing to spend the extra $5, fine with us. Yeah, we're running out. So get yours before they're gone. Besides that, we still have some free crankbaits left, don't we, Josh?
Oh, we've got plenty.
Yeah, we've got some of those badass Cornerstone
If you've
crankbaits.
placed an order, I will get them printed and shipped tomorrow. I've got to be in Dublin at 6 a.m. So I am going to bed right after this.
Gotcha. But yeah, so spend over $50, and this should work. This should work. Listen, if you spend $50 during our Black Friday sale and you do not see the free crankbait come up, it will come to you anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
we'll throw it in there anyways. I'm not sure if the two sales will cooperate on our site, but we will make sure that you get it anyways.
They should. But yeah, like if I see a $50 sale, I'm gonna throw it in.
But yeah, the bait drop on our site now. We've got the Bass Dope 3-wire A-rig.
Yep.
We have got the Bass Dope Smack swim heads. We have got the H&H, more of the HH Koosh Cross. Amazing trailers. We have got the brand new, just released Martin's Nomadic Finesse XT jigs and 5 amazing colors, which, just so you know, those HH Koosh Craw colors that we have that we just put up match them perfectly. Yeah, one of them actually, both. I don't think he's put the other one up yet. One of them is a Dark Horse Tackle exclusive color. The other one he will eventually have up on his site, but for right now, we are the only place you can get that copper craw, and it is amazing. The
star of the show for the November box, as always, and is on the site, is the Bitter's Little Swimmer. You buy you a pack of albino or ghost shiners and thank me later. But for real, there's 2 colors I throw in wintertime. I'm either throwing a white or I'm throwing a natural, or a bright and a natural. Albino is a perfect hybrid. Ghost Shiner is a perfect natural. But we've got your pearl, we've got your watermelon pearl highlight. And
hey, last December I was catching them almost on top with a bluegill colored swim bait.
Oh,
what was that? X Swimmers? Yeah.
Yes. That they make this, Bitters makes this color for the pre-spawn. It's green, pumpkin, and orange. It's called like something about a crawdad. But dude, in muddy water, like,
oh yeah.
Oh my God. All right. It's 9:06.
We're past our bedtime. Thanks again to Corey Hart from HH Custom Baits for coming on and talking to us and telling us about his company. If you don't know about them, you need to know about them. Amazing products. And we've got the November baits have dropped onto the site, so you guys can get yours. Like if you threw it in a tree, you can get your A-rig again. And we've got great sales coming up. We've got a cool promotion with the free crankbait, and we have Dark Horse Tackle's Aggressively Average Christmas box, which is our December box.
The trifecta.
We got lots of neat stuff going on.
A lot going on. And hey, in a couple months, we got expos.
Yes.
It's going to plant that seed in your head.
We want to see you at the expos, but just so everybody knows, our expo deals that we are having at the expos will run congruent on our sites during the expo time. Josh, we didn't get very many comments. I think we need to
choose. I'm giving it to Eli.
You're giving it to Eli?
Yeah.
For which one?
I think he said video done.
He said 2 for the video done.
Yeah. Because the irony in that, Eli, is what you don't know is when I do bring all the film equipment and I do catch a fish and I do talk about it, Zach is just in the background yapping, just and you know, you got to ask yourself, does he want me to film this? But yeah, get yourself a new Alabama rig or 2.
Yeah, we'll get that out to you, Eli. I'll get it out to you tonight. Watch your email. Watch your email.
Maybe
everybody
hold on
else
till Thursday.
Everybody else, every 2 weeks we do one of these lives. Every single time we do a live, we will have a $25 question. Tell your friends, tell your family, and tell them to come. If you're watching us on anywhere, tap the heart button. Give us a heart. Give a heart for Corey Hart.
Hey, heart for heart.
Yeah, and if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, all that good stuff, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Take it easy, everybody. Whoa, nice.